Hello, guys, and welcome back to the Championship Prediction League after a thrilling midweek set of fixtures where the top three all won their games. Pleased to report I got 10 points. I'm on 111 points. Gab, you got 5. You're on 88. And Ollie, with a bit of a comeback, 11 points for him in midweek, up to
Well done, my friend.
87. So we've got to be wary of Ollie. Gab, welcome to the show. And we've got a whole weekend of Championship action to get into, starting with an interesting Friday night fixture, I think, because Eric Ramsey's back in action in charge of West Brom after a mauling in midweek, and they travel to Derby. What do you make of this one?
I think it's the pragmatist against the idealist. I think John Eustace, I don't think his ideas are actually as sophisticated, and I think that allows him to adapt more to the personnel that he has, which is why I think if you look at the most efficient Championship managers, performance against budget, John Eustace is probably up there in terms of the last 5 years. Whereas I think Eric Ramsey has a very specific way that he wants to play. And I don't think he has always difficulty in season, isn't it, Simon? I don't know if he has the personnel to do what he wants. And that's a problem for West Brom, especially off the back of some fitness issues that have been lingering all season. So I think it's going to be a Derby win. Maybe not quite another 5-0 because maybe there'll be some form of solidification from the Albion. I'm going to go to 1-0 to the hosts.
Oh, very similar idea to me. I've gone 2-1 to Derby just because I thought West Brom were. I think they've got a goal in them. They've got so many individual players that you think could score a goal. They've got enough talent that, as we've spoken about before, should mean they can stay up in this league. But I don't know. I'm not sure about Eric Ramsey. It could backfire quite quickly, couldn't it? And that 5-0 home defeat is just massively damaging. If they lose this, it'll be 3 defeats in a row since he took charge. And I'm going to go for a 2-1 Derby win, very much along the same lines as you. Middlesbrough versus Preston is one of the early kickoffs on Saturday. Let me explain the point system, by the way, if you're playing along at home. It's 1 point if you get the correct result. It's 3 points if you get the correct score. And it's 5 points if you predict the correct score with 5 goals or more. There could be 5 goals or more in this one. Middlesbrough, Preston. Massively impressed, Gab, with Middlesbrough this week. 2 big away wins. First at West Brom, then at Stoke. 3 wins in a row for Kim Hellberg. Preston, meanwhile, 2 defeats on the bounce. And obviously, Osmajic red-carded, a headbutt, suspended for probably a lengthy period of time yet again. All signs point towards a pretty big home win for me. So I'm going to go for a 3-0 Borough win.
Yeah, I think with Militin as much, you do wonder. I'm quite a big believer in giving people second chances and giving them the opportunity to learn. But he keeps making the same mistakes. And at a certain stage, you've got to say, have empathy that he may have been raised in a different culture in Eastern Europe, different sort of ways of doing things. But I'm struggling with that. I don't think he's necessarily embraced a different way of going about things in England. And so I think some questions have to be asked of him. And I think it has negative connotations for Preston North End as well. So impressed by Kim Hellberg. We talk about managers coming in season and imparting new ideas. I think Kim Hellberg has done that brilliantly. And he's kept what was working with Middlesbrough and adding some different dimensions subtly. So impressed by Middlesbrough. I think they're going to win this one 3-0.
Oh, I'm actually not me yet. I just wish they'd drop some points, Gab. I'm feeling hot under the collar, especially with Coventry playing on Monday night as well. We'll come to that last fixture of the game week, though. Next up, a London derby. I'll hand over to you, mate, for Millwall versus Charlton, because Millwall looked good against Coventry. Probably should have got something in midweek. Ultimately lost the game, but they're looking really strong this season. Massively impressed with them.
Yeah, historically, Millwall have had a good record against Charlton, and even when Millwall have had bad teams, they've always seemed to get one over their South London neighbours, and they'll be hoping to do likewise. I think Millwall have been extremely impressive. I think they've got a talented squad with a network of really reliable players like Jake Cooper and Casper De Norre, and they've built on that, and I've been so impressed by the job that Alex Neil has done. I think they're playing Charlton at the right time from Millwall's point of view, and if you want to add history into the mix, I'm going to say 2-0 to the Lions.
Oh, that's exactly what I've got, mate. We're just copying each other this week. Charlton, by the way, This could cost them ultimately. I think they will stay up. I've been fairly consistent with that all season, but they've only got 11 points from 14 away games this season, and that is pretty poor. So I will back a Millwall home win. I don't know if the atmosphere in the Derby day might play into Charlton and Nathan Jones fans. I can see that.
Nathan Jones is going to get absolutely lots of stick, shall we say, from the Cobbler Lane end.
He likes that sort of stuff, doesn't he?
Yeah,
he can stand up for it. So I could see a scenario when they kind of pull out a miraculous result. But I think sensible head on, I will back a 2-0 Millwall win. Leicester versus Oxford and Matt Bloomfield starting with consecutive 0-0 draws this week. Leicester, we saw them grab that late equaliser at Wrexham, but the abuse they got at the end from their own fans kind of just sums up where the club is at right now for me, Gab. I worry if Marty Cifuentes doesn't win this game, I don't know if it could be end of his spell in charge. The vibes around Leicester right now are just absolutely horrendous. What do you make of Leicester Oxford?
I agree. I'm going to echo your thoughts on Leicester. With regards to Oxford, I'm actually quite optimistic about the managerial partnership of Matt Bloomfield and Mike Dodds, because I'm quite a big believer, Simon, that a lot of what determines how successful a manager can be is whether they have a management team that complement their strengths. So I think Matt Bloomfield is a very charismatic leader. He's run the dressing room at Wycombe Wanderers for in the latter part of his career for about a decade, and he's a very engaging people person. Went for coffee with him actually a few weeks before he got the Oxford job.
Whereas Gab Sutton is the reason Matt Bloomfield got the Oxford job, exclusive right here on the channel. Wow.
I had a word with Ed Walls when I said, listen, get Matt Bloomfield in. No. But I also think Mike Dodds, as a coach, in terms of running really good training sessions and coaching in possession patterns and the technical and tactical details, I think he's very strong. So I think you've got this charismatic motivator manager with maybe a tactical technical coach. I think the marriage could be pretty good. Whether it's going to save Oxford's season, I don't know, but I'm going to predict an Oxford United win here. I think it's going to give them a bit of a lift, and I'm going to go 2-1 to the Yellows.
Wow. I've gone for a 0-0, which would be a third consecutive 0-0, but I just don't think the atmosphere at Leicester will be very much pleased to see a 0-0 draw. I think you bang on about Mike Dodds, by the way. Obviously got a bit of stick for his little managerial career in charge of Wycombe, but I'd almost put him in the Joe Edwards category of struggled as a first team coach, but such high reviews from his actual coaching on the pitch methods. And I think being a manager is just a slightly different role from that. So very interesting to see how he gets on this season. We always are quite straightforward with Sheffield Wednesday, who you saw your Birmingham team play in midweek and made quite difficult work of it, with a 2-0 late win. Sheffield Wednesday travelled to Bristol City. 3 game weeks, always more difficult for Sheffield Wednesday. I'm always going to back them to lose. I think I'm going to go for a Bristol City 3-0 win, keep it short and sharp. But did all right in midweek, didn't they? Even though they fell to another defeat, but it's getting harder and harder for them.
Oh gosh, yeah. I think it's a really tough time for Sheff Wednesday fans for lots of reasons that we've spoken about. And it's just to go at a game for 3/4 of a season, knowing the results are sort of inconsequential, just must be driving their fans mad. So yeah, lots of sympathy. I think Bristol City, what I'm interested in is obviously they're going to be facing a low block. And when I think of Bristol City at their best, it's high pressing, fast transitions, really incisive football. Whether they'll be able to do that against Sheffield Wednesday, I don't know. So I am going to back the home win, but I'm actually going to go 1-0 rather than a more emphatic scoreline, because I actually don't know if this kind of fixture, even though it's by far the easiest fixture in some ways on their calendar, I don't know if it's actually the kind of fixture that's going to bring the best out of their players. So I'm going to go 1-0 to the Robins.
I think you bang on with your analysis there, Gab. I think Bristol City thrive in chaos, and what Sheffield Wednesday rarely bring is chaos. They are quite organised, difficult, stubborn away from home, decent away following still. So interested to see that one. Talking of chaos, Hull City are up next as they host Swansea. And wow, what a massive away win they got in midweek, beating Preston 3-0 to really solidify their top 6 hopes. been really impressed with Swansea as well recently, especially at home. Do need to sort that away form out under Vitor Matos. But Zamba Popnik, Gab, now top scorer in the league, 13 goals to his name. He's so dangerous. So again, as it always happens to be the case when Hull are involved, I'm predicting goals. I'm going to go for a Hull City 3-2 win and go for those bonus points as well by predicting 5 goals or more. How do you see this one?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, it's Ollie McBurney. I completely underestimated the signing at the time. I sort of
I don't think
wasn't
Chris Wilder did.
Yeah, I just wasn't really having it at the time. But actually now I think, wow, he's made a real impact at Hull City. And I think that he's made them such a good attacking side. They've added Yu Hirakawa from Bristol City, which I think is a really good signing. I think he's going to add a bit of pace and dynamism on the flank for the Tigers. So I'm gonna back Hull. I've doubted them for a large part of the season so far, but actually they're proving me wrong just because they've been so dangerous going forward. So I'm going to go 3-2.
There we go again. Go for the bonus points. Up next is QPR versus Wrexham. And we've spoken a few times on this show and other shows, Gab, about how excited we are about QPR's attack. Last 2 games have finished 0-0. They've been quite difficult going forward, a bit stodgy. I don't think they're clicking right now going forward. Wrexham should have beaten Leicester, didn't beat Leicester. That's a bit damaging. 1 point from 2 games for them this week. And I rarely back 0-0 draws, Gab, but this is my second one I'm predicting of the week because yet again, I fancy Wrexham to go there and just take a point and be quite hard to beat. And I'm not sure QPR have what it takes to break them down. I'd probably lean maybe towards a Wrexham away win, but I'm on the fence with another 0-0 draw.
I'm a big believer in QPR's ability to suffocate the opposition by pressing them in and penning in their fullbacks and making it difficult for them to get out. I think if Wrexham, as much as I'm actually really impressed with how Wrexham have adapted to playing without Kiefer Moore, I do think this is the type of game where they could really have done with the outlet that he can provide. So I'm going to back QPR. I'm going to say 2-1 to the R's.
Blackburn Watford up next, Gab, and I've been disappointed with Watford this week. I saw them draw 1-1 with Portsmouth at home and just thought that was a game they've got to be winning, and we talked them up as this team that could potentially be the 4th best team in the league after winning all those games in a row. Blackburn, winless in 6, have dropped into the bottom 3. It's all looking a bit negative. But once again, I'm afraid that fence is calling me. I'm going for a 1-1 draw in this one because Watford needs to do more. And also, I think Marma went off injured, which is a big blow for them. If he's not back for this game, it looks quite serious in midweek.
Yeah, that's a big blow, but they have got a lot of depth. You look at it for the midweek 1-1 draw with Portsmouth. They had Kwadwo Bar, Nestroy, Ayden Kunda, and Rocco Vata all on the bench. So that shows how much talent and high potential talent they have in their squad. And as much as they're yet to find quite that level of consistency and reliability they need to trouble the top 2 or be consistently in the top 6, I do still feel like I would favour them away to a Blackburn side that maybe you sort of struggle to believe can create that siege mentality other teams can at home. If anyone twice at Ewood Park, maybe it should be 3 times because of the Ipswich thing, where they're winning 1-0 with half an hour to go and it got postponed. But 2 wins at home all season in January isn't great. So I'm going to back Watford. I'm going to go 3-1 to the Hornets.
Excellent stuff. Birmingham Stoke up next, and you have to feel for Mark Robbins going into this game. He signs Gavin Bazunu with Victor Janssen out injured, and look what happens to Bazunu out for 6 weeks. So difficult time in terms of injuries for Stoke City, especially in goal. Birmingham made hard work, as I've already said, of that win over Sheffield Wednesday. But Gab, you can speak on this better than I can. 5th best home record in the division. Look like a real different team at home at St Andrews than they do away from home. And I will be backing them to win. What about you?
Yeah, 26 points from our 13 home games this season suggests we're certainly getting it right at St Andrews. And I'm excited by our additions as well. Kai Wagner, we've signed, who's been a star in the MLS. They really like him over there. I think that's going to be a good addition in a position of need for us. We've signed August Priest as well, from I think someone in Sweden, Djurgårdens. We've signed Ibrahim Osman on loan from Brighton, and we've signed John Salis from Girona. So 4 additions that don't know much about, but based on the reviews, I think could have the quality to really enhance us. After maybe summer recruitment that was a little bit more context led and not quite what we'd have aspired for. So yeah, I'm excited about how those additions are going to help us, and I'm going to back us to get the result against the Stoke City side that have lost 8 of their last 14 league games. So I'm going to go 2-0 to Birmingham City.
Massive game that Ollie will, I'm sure, be looking forward to. Maybe not after the week he's had, actually. Sheffield United Ipswich on Saturday. Ipswich cannot stop winning. This is the team we expected to see at the start of the season. I think it's 4 in a row now for Ipswich in the league. Sheffield United, 2 consecutive defeats in dismal fashion, to be honest. The 9 men against Charlton at the weekend and then losing away at Southampton, who couldn't win a game themselves. So it's been really disappointing for Sheffield United this week. And their playoff hopes are fading fast after all the talk about that. Yeah. I have massive, massive faith in Ipswich at the moment. I will back them to go to Bramall Lane and win, and I'll do so by a scoreline of 2-1. How about you, Gab?
Well, they've made us look a little bit daft, haven't they, Simon? Because a week or 2 ago, we were sitting, it might have been on my podcast, saying Sheffield United, picking Sheffield United for the top 6. And that was a consensus among 4 championship.
That was Ollie's fault. Blame Ollie. It was all Ollie.
Yeah, all right, we'll blame Ollie.
He was blinded.
Maybe. I was blinded by him being blinded. But then not the top 20 were also had Sheffield United in the top 6. So lots of championship commentators thought that they were going to put a run together and maybe rekindle the magic or the consistency that they produced last season. And yet now, if they lose away at Ipswich, they're going to end up possibly more than, they could be 13 points adrift of the top 6, and very much in the mode of let's tick off the points we need to stay up. So it's funny how back-to-back defeats can just change the complexion of the situation completely. I agree with you. I've got a lot of faith in Ipswich. I think they're not. Are they flawless right now? No, they're not. But they've won the last 4. They've got lots of quality, and some of those patterns are starting to click. So I have to back Ipswich. I'm going to go 2-0 to the Tractor Boys.
Interesting stuff indeed. Again, it doesn't look like... I feel like at this stage of the season, and we'll come on to Coventry, Middlesbrough and Ipswich don't look like dropping points at the moment. We've talked about it being potentially a lower bar right now, but it feels like the second half of the season, this promotion race could go all the way to the wire. A very interesting South Coast derby on Sunday, Gab. Portsmouth versus Southampton. I'm sure you remember, even though you'd want to forget, the dreadful 0-0 draw between these 2 teams at the start of the season. Let's hope for a bit more drama this time around. Hey, can Pompey sink Southampton here? What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think for Portsmouth, when they went to St Mary's, a draw was a great result, and I think their fans were very happy with that. I think at Fratton Park, it's a bit different. It's not going to be... I don't think John Mousinho is going to turn up with a low block and can we grind out a point. I think they're going to want to take the game to Southampton, especially given in August, Southampton were among the promotion favourites, as most relegated clubs are. Whereas now I think there's less respect for them because they're in the bottom half and massively underperforming. So I think at Fratton Park, it can create a cauldron of noise, can't it? They can create a siege mentality. And I do think that it's a real opportunity for Portsmouth if they win that game. I don't know if you find this, Simon. Beating your rivals can often be the catalyst for a good season, and losing to them can often be a bad season. So I think there's a real opportunity for Portsmouth to win this game and then off the back of that, string together some really good home form that could keep them up. Conversely, I think if they lose this game, I would possibly see them going down. But I do think that these derby games can carry that extra bit of importance. So I'm going to back a 2-1 Portsmouth win. I think they're going to make the Fortress Fratton factor count, and hopefully they can bring that back into the rest of their campaign.
Fence is calling me again, Gab. I've gone for a 1-1 in this one. I think there will be a few goals in it. I think Leo Cienza is just a wonderful footballer, and he's proved that again in midweek with a goal against Sheffield United. Yeah, I can see the convincing argument for Portsmouth to win this one, but I don't want to get too drawn into the atmosphere and all of that things. Ultimately, this season, I think these two are quite similar in terms of results and performances on the pitch. Southampton obviously have the better individual players, but yeah, I'm backing a draw 1-1 in this one, which brings us to Monday Night Football, Carrow Road, Norwich versus Coventry. Gab, Coventry haven't beaten Norwich since 2009. They've played each other an awful lot of times in that period. And if you remember the reverse fixture early in the season, back in August, it was Liam Manning and Coventry scoring a 95th minute equaliser or something to rescue a 1-1 draw at the CBS Arena. 2 wins in a row for Coventry. Norwich absolutely flying under Philippe Clement. This is a tough one.
Absolutely. Simon, I have to get this off my chest. I really don't like how Sky Sports have basically, without quoting anybody or putting anybody's name to it, they've said that somebody, an official at Norwich City, whether that's Ben Napper or Philippe Clement, has made a comment to Josh Sargent about one of his family that upsetted him, which is then an explanation for some of his behaviour as a way of sort of making them the bad guys. And I don't know if that's actually accurate, and it makes me think that it was enforced by an agent relationship. So Wasserman, Josh Sargent's agents, may have got in touch with a journalist at Sky Sports and tried to get that sort of narrative out as a sweetener for inside information on Wasserman's other clients, and they have some high-end footballers on their books. I really don't think that's a good way for football journalism to go, and I think Sky Sports have to be held to account for that sort of journalism, because I think that's really poor for a mainstream broadcaster. So just an aside, I think that has to be said. With regards to Norwich City, they've actually rallied as a club in spite of Josh Sargent's actions, and actually Jovan Makama, who was a summer signing from Lincoln City, maybe more of a development signing at the time, has actually been brilliant. He's into double figures for the season. Scored a hat-trick against Warsaw recently. He's been in the goals in the league as well, and it's 18 points from 11 games for Norwich City since Philippe Clement took charge, which I think is really impressive. So having said that, up against the Coventry side, who are going really strong, obviously helped by some of those wide additions in the January window, back-to-back wins, which was much needed, wasn't it, off the back of one or two questions. But I think at Carrow Road, I think Norwich City are in form. I'm not going to go against them, so I'm going to predict a 1-1 draw for that one.
Very interesting. Yeah, the away form, I think it's no wins in 5 or 6 on the road now for Coventry in the league since beating Charlton in November. Obviously losses to Ipswich in that time as well.
You've played some tough teams, haven't you, away from home recently?
Yeah, Birmingham, Southampton, Ipswich. So it's worth it. Preston, who he never beat. It's worth taking that into consideration. I think there'll be goals, definitely. Coventry don't keep clean sheets, give up an awful lot of chances as well. So I'm going to go along the same lines as you, but I've gone for a 2-2 Desmond 2-2 draw, which, again, a 7-point week from Coventry for a Coventry perspective. You'd be very happy with that. 2 points a game gets you promoted. Need to try and keep that up from now until the end of the season. Gab, thank you very much for joining me, mate. We'll have to gather next week to see how we've got on over the weekend. Hopefully, Coventry can get the job done, and hopefully you can enjoy a Birmingham win as well, Gab, because they've not been maybe as frequent as we'd hoped for this season. Guys, get your thoughts in the comments down below. Get your score predictions in the comments down below. Please do like and subscribe while you're there, as well as we push towards 1,000 subscribers. But we'll be back next week for more Championship predictions.